So here's a very important question. Would you like to know how to ask the right questions? If yes, stay tuned. I'm Dr. Matt and welcome to my channel. So ladies and gentlemen, it's an art and it's a skill that is totally learnable. We need to know how to ask the right question. The one who asks the question controls the conversation, because now the person needs to answer the question that you have. And to do that, you need to master this very important art and skill, which is asking questions. Starting firstly with the theoretical part, there's two types of questions. There's open questions and closed questions. Open questions start with the following questions. Firstly, why? If you ask the question why, you will get a reasoning behind a certain action. You will get a cause why the person decided to do something. The good thing about asking this question is that if you ask a question why, people in positive situations will find the reasons and start calculating and thinking logically, this way concluding and learning what kind of cause created what kind of effects. The bad thing about asking why question is that if someone has a problem and you ask them why do you have a problem, they might justify it or look for excuses and always give you this big elaborate story why something is not working, but it does not mean that it will repair the problem. Question number two. What for? This is a very important question. It differs from the question why. The question why is always connected with the past. It looks for causes. But the question what for is always connected with the future. It looks for applications. So say that a couple is quarreling, they are arguing, and you ask the question, why are you arguing? Both parties will give you explanation whose fault it is. But if you ask the question, what are you quarreling for? They will see that there's no real application, rather than fighting for who's right, that is applicable and usable in this context. This way they will focus instead of the past on the future, and thanks to this they might actually dissociate themselves from intensive emotional state, stop quarreling and say, well, wait, this is not going to lead anywhere, so let's come back to facts. Another question, what? Question what is based on the content of information. Whenever you're looking for meats, for where is the beef concept, for what's all this about, then you need to ask this question. Does what? This is a question connected with behaviors. So, for instance, if someone says, I'm sad, and you ask a question, how specifically do you do this emotion? How specifically is sadness performed or done? Then they can actually take this, I am sad, and separates it into different kind of behaviors. For example, I have a negative self-talk, or I imagine myself negative future, and so on and so on. So once you have verbs, you can control the actions because verbs are behaviors. The next question, where? So imagine a situation in which a salesman is selling a car to a customer. If they ask a question, where will you use this car? The client has to literally imagine locations in which he will be using this car. This informs the salesman if the client appreciates and actually knows how and where to use what he is considering to buy, what he's thinking of buying. So if the client says, I will drive this to my work, maybe that's not enough. If this car can be used to go on holidays, to go on vacations, maybe the salesman in this situation could ask, where else could you use it? Or how about traveling? Do you actually go out of state? And so on. This way the question where elaborates the use of the products that they buy. The question who is also very important. This is connected with finding out the identity of an agent, which is the person who's performing an action. Of course, we understand the question if someone says, listen, you've got a phone call, and we say, who is it, that we want to know who's calling. But it might be a bit more complex. Example, you are talking to a person and they say, I have a problem. If you ask a question, you have a problem as whom, which means in which role do you have a problem? They might have a problem as a father, as a husband, they might have a problem as a man, they might have a problem as a manager because this is their position at work. So we always go into different who's, and in a different who we perform different actions. if you are able to connect a problem or a situation with only one of the roles that they perform in life, this is going to be way easier now to actually control this problem, to contain it in one area, in one context, and this way work on it. The question when or till when is connected with time. Whenever you want to achieve someone, you always have to set a time frame. We say in psychology of success that if there's no time frame, it's impossible to execute an action. With whom is the question that builds relationships. So you're going to be in a relationship with whom specifically? With whom are you going to be on holidays? With whom are you going to think about this? And so on and so on. The question how asks about the procedure, which means how specifically will you do it? And the question how much is connected with the quantity. So all this is a very important beginning and introduction to asking clever questions. Remember that there's also closed questions, which generally start with do or did or will. Do you have a car? Will you buy a gift for your daughter? And so on and so on. The answer to them is only yes or no. To sum it up, always when you ask a question, you decide firstly if it's a closed or an open question. Think about also the objective of the question. Are you trying to learn something, to get information? Is it an opinion, or do you want to persuade someone? Once you know the objective, decide which question specifically you're going to ask. This topic can be way more complex and deep, and we will deepen it, if you like it, in the next films. But for now, it's enough. If you liked it, leave a comment, leave a thumb up, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done that yet, and send the link to this material to other people who might find it useful. Thank you very much. Be well.